Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, January 3rd. It started late today and I'm not making any real progress. So I've been working on the Tavern Brawl for nearly 45 minutes on this account. It's time to do something different. So let's see if this custom shaman deck is full of shaman cards. Yes, it is. There we go. Custom shaman 2. We'll play that on this. And then we'll try to work our way up ranked. Since it is the new month. And the rank goes down back below rank 20. And you have to get rank 20 to get a card back. This shouldn't be too bad. I got a little distracted because we have a new guy on the chat asking for some tips on being new at Hearthstone, and I really don't have that many tips. The thing is, even when people come specifically asking for tips on like what's a good deck, I have no advice on that particularly. Like the randomness of who has what cards is so crazy. The best I can say is there's websites out there that will let you try and import the best top meta decks, or at least a good meta deck, into your account, and then when you do that you'll find that you're missing a significant number of cards, usually epics and legendaries. Let's see. I wanted to see if this was playable via non-VR. Thank you. Blade Runner. There's this Blade Runner 9732, which so that's a minion, do 1 damage to it. Play this. Play this. This guy is probably goading me into playing, and let's see. So Blade Runner 9732 is the virtual tour inside Deckard's apartment. But can you play it without a VR stuff? No. It's coming out January 7th, and as far as I can tell, you need VR. Like, if this wasn't if you could play this, without VR, I might be slightly interested in it, assuming it's a free game, or a free just kind of demo. There is also some weirdness of it is actually going to be viewable throughout, not in VR. Interesting. Well, alright, well then I might check it out. I'm not super interested in Deckard's offers from the Blade Runner 2077 or whatever the new one is, or even the old movie that much, but it might be cool to check out as far as movie tie-ins. I would still say the Mummy Demastered sounds like it is a much better tie-in game, where this is just one of these cheap and like not well thought out, what are they, advertisements that we've been seeing over the past year. Like there's something called the something experiment. I want to say the Stanley experiment, but it wasn't the Stanley experiment. That I'm confusing this game with the Stanley Parable. There was another thing that was just this VR experience that was a cheap effort to get more people to go to the movies. The thing to remember and know is that Uh, Video games now make more money than movies do, and because of that, like, now the movie studios that are failing and not making money have tried to get into making a video game tie-in to bring people back into the theaters, and it's just not gonna really work. They're just grasping at straws. There's a Fallout 4 mod that lets you assign NPCs to plan and manage your settlement, which I guess pretty much means then you're just taking complete control out of your hands in making the settlement and taking that whole element of the game away from the player. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. Depends, I guess, a lot on whether or not you considered the settlement part of Fallout 4 to be a good thing or a bad thing. I was recently gifted Fallout 4, so at some point I'm gonna have to get around to playing it. Although the fact that I was gifted Fallout 4 kind of also gives me this nice excuse to say maybe I should just go play Fallout New Vegas instead. Like, and the other thing with Fallout 4 is, since you know that the Fallout 5 won't come out for another 4 years, there's no real rush. But I'll probably get around to playing it eventually. There's a thing. Normally, I will say when people gift me games, I feel obliged to playing them. But if you gift me something that's gonna take as long as a Skyrim or a Fallout, and I already have Skyrim, so it would just be Fallout 3 Game of the Year edition or something else. It's such a time commitment that I have some arguments against that in my head. But certainly it helps to have Fallout 4 gifted to me, because I will play it eventually. Let's see, moving on to the next thing. But I won't play it with mods. Like, as a video game critic, playing any game with mods the first time you play through it is not accurate. I would have to play all Fallout 4, its main stories, probably like I played Skyrim, in that I will run through everything and try to beat the game as quickly as possible. And even when I did do that, Skyrim was still like 127 hours of gameplay. But after I see the main game and see how the experience is, then I might try it with mods. PC Gamers has a list of games they played over the holiday. That doesn't really mean anything. PC Gamer is a pretty bad video game website. It's got some major problems, but sadly it's got that name recognition and people go to it. It's heavily tied in with the video game industry, to the point where they will puppet video game industry things like loot boxes aren't actually gambling, or the reviews of games on Steam are all lies and all games are great. Things, general ideas like that. I'm paraphrasing and editorializing there. For 2018, I would love to find some new news sources, but they have to be news sources that are probably on Twitter, that publish new and articles that aren't just getting republished, and that they have new information to add. Moving on, Microsoft took down that PUBG ad that they basically stole from a fan made thing on Reddit. It was a stupid idea to steal in the first place. legally, I think they're probably in the safe realm, but they've actually probably opened themselves up to a small amount of lawsuits in that somebody could at least try to sue them and say, well, the Reddit creator's creation was so transformative that they and they stole it so accurately, like, because I could see it going to court. I could see somebody said, I've made a collage here of assets and video things that I don't have the copyright to. However, on the other hand, everything that he made a collage of was advertisement material in the first place, so Microsoft and PUBG wouldn't have had a copyright claim to it anyway in the first place. Fair use. I used things in fair use to make a collage artwork, and then I was blatantly copied. I think there is a grounds here. No pun intended, for this Battlegrounds ad to be completely stolen. And honestly, in both cases, the original looks better than the well, let's see. One of these looks a lot better than the other, but neither one of them look that great. Like, it's not even an idea worth stealing. Which that's the most pathetic part about it. I'm about to lose, but at the very least I'm playing the cards I need to play. If you join the PC Gamer Club, you can get a copy of Violet Cycle, which is they give away some really like unheard of some really like unheard of games. Let's see. Become a member to unlock extras including game codes, digital copies of PC Gamer magazine, ad-free browsing, and more. Let's see, Android or iOS only. Okay, and you have to pay them at least $3.99 to get that bad game. So they've introduced a subscription model on PC Gamer's website. Like, I started saying they were a bad website, and I can continue saying they're a bad website. Like, I would not join any subscription site. Like, if I was going to join any, I would have joined Giant Bombs to see the large amount of content that they hide behind their subscriptions. But I suppose a very valid argument of the reason why I don't feel like Giant Bomb is really reviewing or playing or covering games anymore is probably because they are hiding a lot of their game content behind their subscription site, and I just don't see it. And all I'm seeing now is the Beastcast and the Bombcast, and they're barely talking about games on those. And last year was a pretty good year for video games, and they didn't cover very many. There we go. Another 30 Shaman cards need to be played. Next news story, the Time Splitters Rewind fan project is still alive for whatever that means. Apparently they're also making progress. That basically just means that on December 31st they put out a video. Seems like they're reanimating and retexturing everything in CryEngine. Like, The problem here with any of these projects to bring back your favorite nostalgic game is it just never comes to fruition. The owners of the copyright always put out a DMCA at some point, and it never happens. The only time any of these fan projects to bring something back or update something works is if it's done completely in secret and the creators don't even know about it. Like, maybe this is the one instance in which the owners of Time Splitters don't care or have given permission, but I bet it's not. And even then, that seems to change more often than is safe to do something like that. You also have to kind of wonder about the motivations. There is the Yandere simulator effect, I guess is what I like to call it. There's this game called Yandere Simulator where the creator has been talking about and slowly working on creating a game, but he literally, in my opinion, doesn't have the ability to finish a project. Because he continuously adds new things and suggests changes to the general public and says, what if I did this? What if I added this? What if I changed this? And he's been doing it for years, and he promises the game will come out and it will be done, but no, it's not within his capability to do it, as far as I can see. But what he's really doing, and I'm not sure he knows he's doing it or not, is he's telling a story, kind of like how a good beggar on the street will tell you a story. They'll have a wounded veteran, please help, and that works a lot better than just not having any story or any sign. People fall for that, and sadly they seem to kind of want it, where if you tell them a story, if you keep them entertained, they will fund you, even if in the back of their mind they know that they aren't. And so I kind of have to question motivations of people that do these fan projects and saying, we're going to bring back this game, particularly when it's a super popular thing that they know a lot of people are going to want to support. Eventually the conversation turns to, well, it'd be helpful if somebody would fund our Patreon. It would be helpful if somebody donated something. There usually is an angle where money, either by necessity or by design, has to come into it. And I prefer people just be interested in games once they're finished. The AAA video game industry and the indie industry, forget the fan industry, have so much trouble getting games actually out the door and finished and in good states. Paying attention to fan projects when even the companies that have the funding and have the money, regardless of whether they claim they do or not, it's like, it's not worth your time being interested in those things. In all honesty, if you want to play Time Splitters, you're probably better off going the emulator route. I imagine that, I think Time Splitters was a PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 game. There are PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 emulators out there. Just go get that and play that. Let's see if I do. I have to do this. And then this. And I don't want to play this right now. I should play it though. I'm just trying to play cards right now, so it makes all the sense in the world to do that. Next news story: Sumo Digital has acquired Newcastle Studios from CCP Games. So CCP Games is the is EVE Online developer, and apparently they bought CCP Games bought Sumo Digital in an attempt to try to break into the European UK market. It says CCP has been attempting to sell the UK studio for some time, with EVE Online developer looking to step away from VR development and refocus. So Sumo Digital was a VR, it is a VR company, and they sold it to Newcastle Studio. Who's Newcastle Studio? Though 34 employees will remain in Newcastle to link up with Sumo as part of the deal, with former producer and studio head Owen O'Brien staying on as studio director. So it's almost an acqui-hire where you just buy the studio to get the employees. And like, I can't even find anything called under the name Newcastle Studio, because that just looks like a studio apartment for sale in Newcastle, UK, to Google. Let's see about Sumo Digital. So Sumo Digital now has 4 companies under their belt. What have they been making? Well, I can tell you they're not making a good website. This entire website has like a loading bar across from the left to right on the whole thing, and now it's stuck at 99%. Yeah. What a terrible website. Terrible, terrible website. It's probably trying to load an ad and my ad blocker is not letting it. Well, if they can't make a website worth reading, whatever games they make. Let's look at the Wikipedia article. Let's see. Games developed. England International Football, Outrun. Outrun 2006, Ghost Sudoku, Toka Racing Driver, Broken Sword, The Angel of Death. So they made Broken Sword for Windows in 2006. Oh yeah. But no, Revolution Software makes Broken Sword, so they must have ported it. Super Rub-a-Dub, what? Virtual Tennis 3, Virtual Tennis 2009, Disney's A Christmas Carol for DS and Wii. Just remember that I'm really just here trying to play cards. Doctor Who, the adventure game, which wasn't that good. Sadly, I wanted to play that because I'm mad. I probably still will play it. Dead Space Ignition, which was the on-rail shooter of Dead Space. Hasbro Family Game Night 3. I would argue Hasbro Family Game Night was actually a good game for what it was. Little Big Planet 2. Sonic and All-Stars Racing's Transformed. They seem like they're mostly porting other games though. Like none of these seem like IP. Something they own. Forza Motorsport 6, Forza Horizon 3, the Colorado episode of the Hitman reboot, Snake Pass, Crackdown 3, Dead Island 2, Project Nova. Wow, they've got their fingers in a lot of pies, but Sumo Digital certainly is not a big enough company. Approximately 400 employees. They should be big enough to make their own game. Well, it's nice to get a win and move up ranked play a little bit, but that's not really that useful. The Shenmue 3 producer has reiterated its 2018 launch date and promises many other surprises. It's nice to hear a Japanese developer of a Japanese game reiterating and continuing the promise that they're going to make the date that they said they were going to make. However, I've seen a lot of Japanese games that in their hearts of hearts don't seem like they really care if there's a delay. A lot of developers, they'd rather get it right than get it out on time. Frankly, I am in agreement with that sentimentality, but I would also prefer that they could get it right. Then tell their bosses, this is done. Now is the time to announce the date and that it's going to be out there. But that's not how it goes in the video game industry. It's the management that set when games are going to come out, and then the creators of the game have to work and within that constricted time frame and do the best they can. And it inherently causes almost every single video game ever created to be worse than it could have been. With a more realistic amount of time. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for an infinite amount of time. I'm just a realistic amount of time for games development. The Devil May Cry and Dragon's Dogma director says the new game is under climax. I'm making a great game, so please expect it. Under climax is a odd way to announce that. But I'm sure that's translating. Let's see, his entire tweet says, "Happy New Year. I'm sorry that I cannot present a new project. I could not present a new project last year. The development on the project is now under climax," which I assume what he means by that is that it is at the highest point of development. But I don't think English speakers would ever phrase it that way. I'm making a great game, so please expect it. Well, at least he seemed to have tweeted in English, so... The above follows a similar apology that he made to followers in the wake of last year's E3, where it was thought his new and elusive work might show a face. So he seems like the type of person that's going to apologize every time people expected him to announce something and he didn't. He could save himself some frustration pretty easily if he just pre-announced that there will be nothing new to say. The thing that's kind of confusing about the Devil May Cry series and Dragon's Dogma I don't know much about, so it's probably, I would guess, fine to make a Dragon's Dogma 2 or 3, whatever the next would be in the series. But Devil May Cry had that reboot made by a different company called DMC, and that ended on a cliffhanger, but it probably didn't sell that much, so we probably will just see a Devil May Cry 5. But also, a lot of the people that worked on Devil May Cry went over to Platinum Games, as best as I can tell, and made Bayonetta. And Bayonetta 1, Bayonetta 2, and now Bayonetta 3 has been announced. So, while the director may have stayed, a lot of the people who did the programming and the gameplay have had to been replaced. So who knows? My personal problem with DMC games is that they probably are a little too difficult for me. Even Bayonetta, which is a game I love, I really can only play on the easiest mode. It's kind of pathetic, but that's the case of it. So there was a lot of things I simply didn't see, didn't know about. Even having played the game a couple times. There we go. There's a Devil May Cry HD collection en route to the PC. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And I assume that that's Devil May Cry 1, 2, and 3 Special Edition. Not the DMC. So they are trying to go back to the original series since the reboot didn't really work for them. Let's see, is this a game worth talking about as our next article? This is one of those rock, paper, shotgun / PC gamer / Eurogamer, since they're all the same company. Articles that really are just advertising. Well, I'm looking at a teaser trailer for a game called Rusty Lake Paradise. I might as well tell people what I'm doing. It looks, it's selling itself as a creepy point-and-click adventure game. It does look creepy, I will give it that, but I am not sure about it. And for 2018 and going forward, I think I'm not going to wishlist games that I don't see good reviews on it. I'm gonna more heavily focus on only trying to play things that other people have played and shown. There's with Steam Direct particularly, there's just too many bad games, too many games that have 15 different versions of the same game that come out, and they have no reviews whatsoever, and I'm not financially funded to the point where I can just roll the dice on a random thing. So I only need to play 3 more Shaman cards. That's good. Next article is a game called A Fine Mess. It's an apocalyptic walk on the beach, according to the title. I think it's only on itch anyways, and it costs $2, so I'll never play it. I don't only play games if they bother to get on Steam. If I'm saying I'm only going to play games that have been reviewed on Steam, I'm definitely only playing games that bother to pay the $100 to get put on Steam. Man, and Rock Paper Shotgun too. They just are putting out a lot of articles for 2018. I heard that people on average get paid like $30 for an article, like a $500 article, and they're literally paid by word. Like every word is a penny or half a penny or a nickel or something. I guess it would be a nickel if 500 words got you about $30. And I am so glad that I am not a writer. Like, that is not my forte. I would never review any games if I couldn't talk about them and have more of a natural coverage like that. But that is insane. And it really goes to show how newspapers, articles, whether they're digital or real world ones, are just failed concepts now. Like, we are in the world of Twitter where it's 280 but really 140 characters per tweet. People want things concise. People don't want to read long articles forever. The part of that certainly comes down to when you're in an adult work life. It's rarely the occasion that you can get into your job and pull out a newspaper and read the newspaper for hours or for the entire length of a newspaper or some of a newspaper. You might read the headlines and that's about it. Why is this not gonna work? Oh, because I have to play this. And what you're usually not waiting on a bus or a train to the point where you would pull out a newspaper. You'd pull out your phone. There's just better information, even if it's more personal information like Facebook, or if it's garbage information like Facebook. People would prefer to read that than read boring things. If you want sports scores on games, you're probably not going to a newspaper. And then, because newspapers, effectively print media, even in the digital form, is failing completely, then the advertisement concept, which was probably always a scam, is failing. And advertising is going more and more to YouTube, or just disappearing in general, as companies are failing more and more. The bigger point here is all of the economy is a lie. It's all fraud. It's all falling apart. It's all collapsing. At the best, in the United States, you have one bubble, like the housing bubble, burst, and then the rest of the economy gets ignored for a while it continues to basically be fraudulent and not really sustainable. I think I've played enough cards, but I would like to see if maybe I can win here. Let's see. I'm going through the news still. There's probably not that much left to say. Gamma Sutra, one of the few things I do follow that seems to have different kinds of information, partially because they let people put blogs on their site. Let's see, is there any way I could kill anything? I can do this. So somebody's got a blog about introducing the hidden object game genre to VR, and it's a game called Where's My Nom, which is one of those cell phone games. It's that character from Cut the Rope. Yeah. But in a VR environment, trying to find, I guess, the cookies that the character was eating. Honestly, I think they're putting a hidden object game in VR in a 3D environment, at least, is a good idea. I was saying in The Witness, you could have easily done something in the game called The Witness where it was just a hidden object game, find the thing under other things. But putting it in VR, the VR part of it's still a pretty bad idea, because VR is not succeeding and it probably isn't going to. Moving on. Destiny 2 gets its first downtime of the year today, and that was published on the 3rd of January. and there's plenty of downtime on the near weekly schedule. So apparently they're intentionally taking it down, which, man, if I was into Destiny 2, I would be very upset if there was days where you're specifically planning for it to not work. Hearthstone does do that, but it's never that bad. Let's see. So we're back to this. Back to trying to win a stinking rogue tavern brawl. And almost certainly I'm going to have to go into the post-show and try and get some rogue victories some other way. Unless somebody on the European account wants to give me friendly challenges and let me win. In fact, you could friendly challenge somebody on the Tavern Brawl and let me win. That would be nice. The Xbox One Connect adapter is officially dead now too, so Xbox One is not going to work. The Connect itself was canned in October, according to Eurogamer. In a lot of ways, it's just good riddance, though. Like getting rid of the Connect leaves only the Nintendo Switch as the one console with a ridiculous interface, and nobody is even really adapting the ridiculousness of the Joy-Cons that much in their games besides Nintendo anyways. So now maybe we can just focus on making games good, and next focus on getting some of the annoyances like microtransactions and such out of video games. And hopefully the video game industry is getting better and not worse. Next article, the game Insurgency Sandstorm has canceled its story mode completely, but alpha test signups are live for its multiplayer. That would be, in my opinion, a argument that it is not getting better when there's what looks like a first-person shooter military game completely canceling the story mode. That being said, for the target audience that plays military first-person shooters, the number of people that play multiplayer versus the number of people that play single player is so small that you might as well cancel the single player, because it's just not in high demand. And while I am not a religious believer in the concept of supply and demand, in certain examples it is obviously the case. And see, I'm watching the trailer for Insurgency, and I've never heard of it. It's gotten very poor coverage, and it seems to be a lady in the military in active combat in the United States, which until very recently that's not been the case. So it feels a little odd to see a lady in military fatigues and bulletproof armor. The quote is, "The story mode has been, quote, canceled for release. It may be brought back into development at some future date, but for now the developers have decided to focus on the multiplayer." And honestly, in the multiplayer, nobody's going to be playing as that lady at all. It also is worth pointing out that the creative director, Andrew Spearin has left the company. No reasons given why he left, so like that feels like a high level firing when you're firing when you're getting rid of the creative director and canceling everything that the creative director would have been in charge of. Can I play?
The shadows beckon.
Darn it. But on the other end, I suppose it doesn't really matter either, because I don't care about Insurgency Sandstorm. Never heard about it. Probably, I imagine it'll just be yet another first-person shooter that's on Steam that nobody ever plays. There's an article on PC Gamer called "How Devs and Fans Are Coming Together to Rebuild Neverwinter Nights." Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition coming soon. Neverwinter Nights looks like it's one of those EverQuest style games that, unless it is more enhanced than the images I'm seeing now, isn't going to encourage new players to hop in.
Enter the shadows. Enter the shadows.
Oh man, I was 1 mana short to bring this guy out of dormancy. Darn it. Should have counted. Yeah. Since I don't have nostalgia for Neverwinter Nights, I've heard of the game. It's a name that I recognize, but since I have no nostalgia for it, an enhanced edition doesn't really encourage me to come back and play it. Let's see. Apple acquired the mobile developer Buddy Build, so I imagine a lot of that is just going to come down to
Ready to rumble. Silent but dead.
like, I imagine Apple just needed more programmers to make their basic programs. I heard somebody speculating that maybe the future Apple PCs might have an ARM processor in them and then have a secondary Intel 586, 686 processor in it that would be shut off most of the time, as Apple is thinking about making all of their applications ARM based, which honestly, like, I don't think that would work, but it might. Like, it's not the most insane thing I've ever heard to try to make a modern operating system that is I still am 1 short. Man. Getting this guy out of dormancy is proving to be pretty impossible. Let's see if there's anything else here. Yep, there's really no more information about that. Let's see, I'm going through everything here. Well, there's nothing to do, so I'll just end the turn. Turok has been rated by Peggy for the Xbox One, so Turok is coming back. They're probably just a remaster or the same one. Let's see, there's a couple of lists. Yeah, PC Gamers has best indie, top 25 indie games to play right now. A Destiny 2 player developed his own Infinite Force that is actually endless. Which, for people who play Destiny 2, I'm sure that's interesting, but for me, I don't even care. And, see, I'm trying to work towards the post show right now, if that's not kind of obvious. Let's do 1 damage there. I'm about to lose. So let's cover the news here. Is there any new Humble Bundle from Humble Bundle? I believe there is, because I think I got an email that when I get to the Humble Bundles, that's when I know I'm at the end of my list. Yes, they had. Well, no. There's staff picks. So for $1 you can get Tempest. It's still loading. Tempest, Liet, and Punch Club, which arguably I would take that. Like, but I'm over budget. For the over the average of $5.92 right now, you can get Aragami, Beholder, and Bioshock Infinite, which I'd still take that even though I already own Bioshock Infinite. And then if you pay $12, you get Shenzhen IO, which I don't think that's probably worth it. So maybe I will spend $1 on it, but I'm not waiting for that. And I'm not going to play some more. So let's, in the post show, and it seems like this is pretty consistent when there's Tavern Brawls. In the post show, I need to get a victory with Rogue or Warrior. I suppose if I just get 1 victory with Warrior, it's not a big deal. So I might try that. And then I would need to come back and get 3 more victories with the Rogue just playing this, which is not entirely impossible. The Steam Awards winners have been announced. So for the, let's quickly go over that, and I'll just leave the other list of top indie games alone. Choices Matter goes to Witcher 3. Mom Spaghetti goes to PlayerUnknown's Battleground. Labor of Love goes to Warframe. Suspension of Disbelief goes to Rocket League. The World is Grim Enough, Let's Just All Get Along goes to Stardew Valley. No Apology goes to The Witcher's Enhanced Edition, which, fair enough. Like, alright, so I've got on my Asian account a even more irritating challenge a friend quest, which means I'll have to get somebody that will actually play me, or I'm gonna have to play both of these, which frankly I need to just trade out this, because getting the Asian account to getting anybody to friend you and play you is so hard, and I'm not willing to put up with it. So instead I'll win 300 games and play a bunch of Warlock cards. Ideally Warlock over Warrior, because Warlock has the ability to draw cards. No Apologies for the Witcher Enhanced Edition. I was hoping to see Honeypop actually win that, but since I don't think it really is a popular vote anyways, I didn't think it was going to. Defies Description goes to Gary's Mod. Cry Havoc and Let Slip the Dogs of War goes to Just Cause 3. Haunts My Dreams goes to Counter-Strike Go, Global Offensive. See You Soul of the Virtuous goes to Rise of the Tomb Raider. Woe Dude 2.0 goes to The Evil Within 2. Best Soundtrack goes to Cuphead. Even Better Than I Expected goes to Cuphead. So I don't inherently disagree with those choices. I would like to see it go a slightly different direction on some votes, but that's about it. And see, now we've got some good ones. 7 victories, and I only need 3 more of those. And then play 50-100 class cards. The only real issue here, in the traded downward there, is this account and the Tavern Brawl. I guess I can do that with a friend. Like, you can do a friendly Tavern Brawl and still get the Tavern Brawl reward. I think I'll have to experiment with that, but I was hoping to get more time so I could schedule videos today, and instead, with the Tavern Brawl, I am in yet another one of these situations with Hearthstone that's so incredibly frustrating. Like, I wish I could maybe get half the gold just to cancel or something. I'd be willing to consider that. Like, at the end of the day, I guess the only thing that's gonna solve this issue is if I just start putting money in this. If I just had all the cards already, it'd be real easy to say, well, I don't really need to do that and save up gold and open more packs because I already have all the cards. But that's so far away from where we are. I'm scrolling down Twitter to see if there's anything new to be announced. No. Nothing new to be announced. No news. Why would there be new news? CES is coming up in a week or two. That usually doesn't affect the it usually doesn't affect the video game industry too much, but it might. Well, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. I'm going on to the post show. As always, I ask you to... No, I already said that. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.